the excitement in his voice about starting up the front and messing it with the big guys, well, that's something that's really going to play out in a fantastic way. So let's just recap where we are for you. Symmons Plains, we first started racing here in the Australian Touring Car Championship back in 1969. A lap is done in a tick over 50 seconds, 2.4 kilometres. Crucial spots, of course, down at turn 4, the hairpin, the big back long straight where they get up to 266 kilometres per hour. And then that rather complex area through turns 1, 2 and 3. This place lends itself to great racing and a lot of incidents along the way. Will Davison, Erebus Motorsport, Mercedes AMG. Rick Kelly for Jack Daniels Racing. He'll start from down in 19th alongside his brother. So the championship point score, Craig Lowndes on the podium all weekend at Adelaide, 282 points and leads the championship. Hasn't won the title since 1999 when Mark Scaife and Neil Crompton asked him earlier today, can you win it? I love the answer. It was a definitive yes.
It certainly was. Check out the starting lineup for race number 4 of the championship, and here's an all Red Bull Racing Australia front row with Jamie Whincup and Craig Lowndes, the dominant forces. Red Bull have had 4 poles so far this year, amazing. Russell Ingall, what a terrific performance, and he's alongside Courtney. Then it's David Reynolds and Mark Winterbottom flying the Ford flag brilliantly. 7th and 8th, we've got Scotty McLaughlin with the question mark over the power steering on the car. Van Gisbergen alongside him for VIP Pet Foods. Then Chaz Mostert for Ford Pepsi Max alongside the old guy from that team the year previous, Will Davison. Well, he's not that old, but he's a former teammate in that operation. Lee Holdsworth and Garth Tander, 13 and 14. It's good to see the Erebus cars looking strong this weekend.
Scotty Pye and Tim Slade from 15th and 16th. Then we run into a few of the Nissans. James Moffat, his dad Alan won here 5 times. Todd Kelly's won here before too. So 3 of the Nissans in a row with Rick Kelly starting from 19th. Jason Bright, who was a winner here last year, he split his teammate Fabian Coulthard's 2 wins. He's going to find himself mid-pack, and we go back to Dale Wood in position 24 and Nick Percat. Remember, his qualifier was extinguished when he found the gravel at turn 4 and activated a red flag, so he goes to the back of the field. A new livery for car 222. You'll check it out throughout the race. Heavy Haulage Australia Racing now sponsoring. It looks pretty funky too. On board we are. The whole stack of cars and a whole stack of cameras to give you the best angle of the best touring car category in the world. Super Cheap Auto Racing of Tim Slade. Start from 16th, and there's Whincup. He's just arrived here after a bad finish to the Clipsal weekend. The first time in 9 years that he hasn't walked away from the opening round of the V8 Supercar Championship, either first or second. Scotty McLaughlin, he might look like Popeye after the end of the day with those big forearms bulging with no power steering in the Volvo S60. It's going to be hard work.
They've made some changes to it. I just spoke to Richard Holway about it. And they've made some changes to the plumbing again for the start of this. So we'll just see what happens in terms of his physical condition. At the hairpin especially has a big impact.
Nobody has won more races at this circuit than Jamie Whincup. 8 wins next to his name. Garth Tander's won 7 times here. Craig Lowndes has won 6 times. But this time, they've got the enforcer hovering on the second row of the grid. Wouldn't that be a return to racing for Russell Ingall? There he is ahead of us. So look out for car 23. He's on a search and destroy mission to the top step if he can do it, but he doesn't get away well. Russell has been swamped. Craig Lowndes shoots ahead. And now Russell Ingall's going to have to fight his way back through. He dropped at least 2, maybe 3 spots off the start. Through turn 3, James Courtney said it's like wrestling a bear through there. Down at the hairpin, 50 kilometres an hour. Big switch back to the left. Do you take the high side or the low side? They all get through cleanly. Riding on board with Whincup, now the back straightaway. Wind into their nose, so about 260 Ks. Side by side, it's Will Davison and Chaz Mostert. And behind them is Garth Tander. get through cleanly, but Mostert will be the loser, and a little bump. And that's it, over and done. 1 lap in under a minute.
Bad jump there for Jamie Whincup. Lowndes, a very good start. He missed the kick and got too much wheel spin. Lowndes was able to easily get across in front and dominate the first corner of this race. Ingle, bad start. He's caught up in between the FPR sandwich with Reynolds and Winterbottom.
Look at Van Gisbergen round the outside, and Reynolds has gone round the outside of Ingle. Van Gisbergen trying to do the same. He's got some bodywork loose in the back left-hand corner of that car. It's torn the side off the bumper assembly. But Russell's initial jump was poor. He had wheel spin or bogged down. But the secondary part of the start, he recovered a bit, but he's really getting a brutalisation out there at the moment. They're jumping around on him, as I can hear the race director asking staff to look carefully at the back left-hand corner of that car.
See how unsettled the Volvo of Scott McLaughlin was as it rode the curves there alongside Shane Van Gisbergen. So Giz needs to post points here because he's going to start at the back of the field in the next race.
So Jamie had a look up the inside of Craig there, and he's got a shallower exit line. What he'll be hoping to do is get into position, and look at this. It's on again back at the hairpin. And this is Ingle on the right, Reynolds on the left, and this puts Russell in the box seat when they get down to turn 6, but he's got to go the long way. There was a little bit of contact on that opening lap between them, and Russell's got the elbows up. Oh, lock brake. Frosty had a bird's eye view of Ingle getting up the inside of Reynolds.
This is pretty lively. That was a good pass, Russell Ingle. Well constructed, good manoeuvre. Got him on the outside through the kink, and then on the inside for turn 6. We're on board there with McLaughlin. This is a pretty fierce battle with Van Gisbergen in the middle of this.
David Reynolds slid beneath the bridge then, and that would have made his exit fractionally slower, and that's tightened the pack up even more behind him. So Winterbottom just trying to position to the outside now to do what Russell Ingle did on David Reynolds. He's got good corner exit speed, Winterbottom, and he's going to put that move on. He's done it quite well.
Van Gisbergen's going to have a look too. Oh, but he's going to have to hold it up. Reynolds turns in on him, but the VIP Pet Foods Commodore goes through.
Good job. That was a very good pass.
And David's car's sliding a lot at the back at the moment, and just that little bit of instability's cost him dearly. So a couple of spots in half a lap, they're gone.
Now that front four just settled down. Ingle's got a big gap between him and James Courtney.
Here's Will.
On the inside at 4.
He'll get him. Oh, he hasn't got enough steering lock to actually pull it down tight. So a little crunch there, delayed Davison. That makes him slow off the corner. Tander's having a crack. It's all happening in Tassie.
So it's a battle of the bulls. Lowndes and Whincup, 1-2. Their margin back to James Courtney's just under 2 seconds at the moment. This is on. Davison, Reynolds, Tander now down the inside and gets the bottle forward. Coulthard will go with him. This is the fight for the tail of the top 10. Davison is 8th, Tander is 9th. Coulthard, Reynolds, David Wall in the Wilson security car, car number 17. Scott Pye next in the queue, then Chaz Mostert, Tim Slade, Lee Holdsworth, James Moffat in his 100th championship race in the Norton Nissan. There's the leaders going down the back straight as the rest make their way into this slow banked hairpin. Lap 6, 42, 100 kilometres. There's Nick Percat. HHA Commodore started last. He's got by Dale Wood and Robert Dahlgren in the second of the Valvoline Volvos. This is very much sprint racing at its best on a tight little track. Whincup, new fastest lap, 52.2. Ingle starting to chip away at Courtney, but that slow start and the work he had to do to gain the ground back means he's 3 seconds behind his former teammate at both Walkinshaw Racing and Stone Brothers Racing. But we're off and rolling now. Here's Van Gisbergen, 6th. McLaughlin, best of the Volvos. Jason Bright having a look at James Moffat back on board with the Erebus Mercedes of Will Davison. This team are now looking after their own engine program on the Gold Coast, but still on the hunt for a little bit more in terms of straight line handling. This is a good fight here. This is really on between Jason Bright, James Moffat, Rick Kelly, Caruso, Jack Perkins. The Nissans are struggling though. They're in the back half of the field. Moffat's the best of them. He's 18th at the moment, and he's right in the middle of a real rumble. Jason Bright in the BOC Commodore sits in position 17.
The first of two 100-kilometre races this afternoon, live on 7 Sport. The Tyre Power Tasmania 400. Craig Lowndes, our race leader. He's 0.3 of a second ahead of his teammate, Jamie Whincup, who has put down fastest times over the last 2 laps. Now look at this. A little bit of give and take, a little bit of push and shove. Did he jump? Did he go too fast? He got a great jump. The man out of that picture was Russell Ingall. So watch Russell start. This is from David Reynolds behind him. And they just swamped him.
It was a terrible start for Russell. It didn't let the handbrake off. So when it first jumped, it just didn't even move. This is the drama in the middle of the field with Fabian, Garth, and around the outside is David Wall. So there were 3 abreast trying to get into turn 1. And the real winners and losers out of this is Tander's jumped 5 spots. Dave Reynolds back 6 spots. Good, a lot of contact, good save there from Garth. A lot of opposite lock on that car to get through. Mostert also down 5 spots.
Bit of other stuff going on in the pack. Fabian Coulthard reporting no drive. There he is, middle of screen at the moment, the Lockwood entry. So he's down the order slightly, 10th. He was a winner here last year. Jason Bright also down the order at the moment. They changed that car dramatically back to last year's setup. He was a winner here last year, so they've abandoned the experiments that they were running with yesterday. Larko?
Yeah, just picking up on you boys, noticing Mostert down in the pack. I was watching him early in the race. When you come out of the hairpin, if you're going to put yourself on the outside, nothing wrong with that, and you run down into turn 6 on the outside, all very good, but you've got to have a look in your mirror. If there's cars lined up behind the car you're trying to go around the outside of, chances are you're not going to lose 1 spot, you're going to lose 2, 3 and 4. Exactly what happened to Chaz. You've got to think 3 corners ahead all the time around here.
It's a rapid lap. The other thing that's changed today relative to yesterday, temps up, but so's the wind direction different from yesterday. So it was a southerly yesterday and it was quite noticeably cooler. Today the temperature is up and the wind direction's 180 degrees. It's right on the nose of Jack Perkins' car there, car number 18 for Geldwen. So Jack at the moment is 21st. It's an angry pack. And there's his team boss, Charlie Schwerkolt, who said to me yesterday he's really impressed with the way in which Jack's working his way into the team, learning to understand the car, getting the most from it.
And he's going to have a much better starting position in the next race, Crompo. They made some changes in that short break between the 2 qualifying sessions, and Jack will start race 2 this afternoon from 12th spot. So now Whincup's got into that groove. Look at that. Now the last 4 laps, he's done better times in 3 out of the 4, and he's fastest to the 2nd sector on this lap again. So he's closed the gap. He's now getting himself into position to have a crack at Lowndes. It's a 42-lap race, so there's no need to get a hurry along really at this stage, but when Whincup's in this frame of mind, he usually doesn't mess around.
The guy that's having a nice protected run at the moment is James Courtney. He's got lots of fresh air in front of him and he's got a little bit of a buffer to Russell Ingall, 4th at the moment, so that's convenient. Here's that curb cam, which actually showed you the gap from this group back to the third car in the pack there, which was Courtney. Wanted to make the point also that Coulthard's continuing to complain about the car. He's got a bad cold this weekend as well, so his terminology, not mine. I'm all bunged up.
I went and spoke to Jamie Whincup. I said, it's one of the best laps I've seen you put on. He said how out of control he was at turn 6 trying to get it stopped. And then he said, I thought I buggered it. I bumped the curb in that last corner. He said, I thought it was over. I'm going to be 3rd or 4th. So he was really surprised by the eventual lap time. On board now with Dave Reynolds.
Slip back to 11th.
Dave Reynolds, as I said earlier, is one of the guys that lost a lot of ground early in this race. He's in 11th.
Watch this, from 240 all the way back through the gears. On the brakes, down to 50.
Meantime, Lowndes has responded with the fastest lap of the race with the pressure from his teammate, 52.1. Remember, there's a bit of a headwind today, so just a little less than the peak values that we often quote. So we normally see up to 265 down the back straight, so about 5 k's softer there with the breeze. Dave had a little snatch of the gear lever and the steering there on the gear shift, but third to fourth when you come off turn 6, and a mechanical black flag, by the way, for Shane van Gisbergen. So the race director's just made that call. Back with more in a moment.
On board with David Reynolds, P11, Molo Ford. This is a bit further down the line. Russell Ingall, P4, Mark Winterbottom putting the pressure on in number 5 Pepsi Max crew car. This is Jack Perkins and Todd Kelly outside the top 10, outside the top 20, I should say. He's hanging around with all of the Nissans. Nanik Percat, who slipped by Todd Kelly. So we're on lap 15 of 42, the first of 2 races this afternoon at Symmons Plains. Kelly's got drama right front, has let go. And the Jack Daniels Nissan is done. He had a miserable weekend here last year when this program and these cars were very, very new. They had a range of engine problems.
Bringing you straight into the crash bay, mate. Right, straight into the crash bay. Something is definitely broke on your right front.
I'd say definitely it's broken on the right front. Might not even be able to turn it into the garage. Not quite. Need a little bit of assistance. So a drama for Nissan Motorsport with one of their 4 cars with serious damage. Winterbottom keeping the pressure on Russell Ingall, who won here overall 10 years ago without winning a race on what was a very strange weekend, and Winterbottom has got some pace on Ingall. Russell's been a runner-up here in a couple of races before, but he's never won an actual individual race here since he first came here in 1996, Van Gisbergen. I was just about to say, here he is. He's responded to that black flag. The Techno team will rip that off and it's good to go, but he rejoins now down the tail in 24th place as Winterbottom continues this charge. He's best of the Fords. Had a tough first weekend at the Kutzl 500, 6th in the championship. Coming into this weekend in Tasmania. Keeping the pressure on the 2005 V8 Supercar Champ. Lowndes leads, margin 9/10 to Jamie Whincup. James Courtney sits comfortably in 3rd. This is the fight for 4th.
Welcome back, Flat Out Racing. You're on board with Mark Winterbottom, who's trying to hunt down Russell Ingall, who is in 4th. But the true believers are there for the enforcer. Remember, he started from 3rd, dropped a bunch of spots off the grid, and is now trying to push his way back onto the podium. So let us know what you think. v8supercars.com.au, 7 Sport app, 81%. Finish this one off by saying he will get another spot at least in between now and lap 42.
He's clinging to that position at the moment in 4th, and the back of it sliding a lot. Just as we were coming out of the break, then we were observing the back of the car. And right here at turn 6, it was in evidence as well. And he was having to just glide the car and at the same time protect, because he's got Mark Winterbottom all over him. It's about 3.5 odd seconds up the road to James Courtney before he can achieve that podium. And off up the road here at turn 4 at the hairpin, Rick Kelly, Jack Daniels Racing, running wide, and damage contact. Todd Kelly and Jack Perkins. And Todd was on the radio just as we went to the break saying, I think I've broken an upright, and that's in the garage at the moment, that car number 7 for the repair. And that upset, obviously, both those cars and resulted in this.
And that's just cause and effect, isn't it? I mean, Rick went off. As he comes back on, Jack tries to get out of the way and ends up clunking into Todd. Had a standout weekend here back in 2008, Toddler. He went from 10th to victory in the Jack Daniels Commodore, and then had a pair of 3rds for the rest of the weekend, but it hasn't started well, this one. So 47 versus 4 is Slade against Holdsworth. And they're battling for position 14. Ahead of them is Chaz Mostert.
Tim Slade, together with James Courtney and Nick Percat, they're off with Phil Young, their trainer, next week on a training camp to get beaten up for a few days, running and riding and swimming and all the rest of it. He's getting fairly beaten up there at the moment. He's in 14th position at the moment, Tim Slade. Everywhere you look, there's a serious battle going on. So you've got 12th and 13th, Scott Pye and Chaz Mostert. They're very close. David Wall's very close in all this. You blink and you're in trouble there at the moment. The spread across the entire field. Shane Van Gisbergen took his penalty to get that bodywork removed. So if you discount him, it's 27 seconds covering 23 cars, I should say. And they're on their 20th lap.
And at the front, guys, the gap's stretched out a bit. Craig Lowndes to Whincup. It's hovering around 0.8 of a second now. It was pretty much on a second, and perhaps this will explain why. So the last turn, and that can lead to disaster.
That'll definitely do it. Ooh.
Right rear in the dirt, rooster tail, rocks flying, no speed in that, and the corresponding heart rate goes well north.
Well, and remember, it's fast. It's 165k, the slowest part of that corner. So that's more like 180 or 190 kilometres an hour when you're out in the paddock, out of control.
Boys, while we're in that last ad break, Shane Van Gisbergen in the VIP Commodore, who has been very competitive all this weekend, was running very strongly, has had to come in and have a pit stop. Black flag, mechanical black flag, because parts were falling off the car. Now, this is his rear left bumper we saw flapping around, and as you can see, it's a composite material. It's actually very light. I was speaking to Frank Addison, the category technical manager, who's got to make these decisions. He hates making the decisions, but as you can see, that in itself is not dangerous. But what he's worried about, if it flies off, goes into the crowd or something, it is dangerous. So that's why he does it.
Speaking of, we've got a car flying off down there at the end of the back straight, and it is Rick Kelly. So that's going to trigger a safety car. He's just going to dig a deeper hole, I think. It's a high speeder too, that one, but the gravel trap does its job beautifully.
Looks like there's some brake drama there with that one, Matt. You don't normally end up that far down the road like that. Rick come into this race, 4th in the championship, remember? The best start he's had for a long time.
Petter's safety car will be activated, so we'll grab a break. Back soon.
Rick Kelly started from 19th, but he ends up parked in the gravel down in turn 6, and all that work that Lowndes had been doing is gone. So we bunch up the field behind the Chrysler Petter's safety car, and it's Lowndes, Whincup and Courtney 1, 2, 3. So Courtney gets a ride up to Whincup, Ingle gets a ride to Courtney, Winterbottom 5th, McLaughlin 6th, Will Davison 7th, flying the flag for Erebus Motorsport. Tander, Coulthard, Reynolds, that's the top 10. Let's give you the rest of the order. David Wall 11th, Scott Pye is 12th, Chaz Mostert next from Tim Slade, then Lee Holdsworth, Jason Bright, James Moffat, Michael Caruso, Jack Perkins, Nick Percat 20th, Robert Dahlgren next from Darwood, and Shane Van Gisbergen with Rick Kelly in the bunker, Todd Kelly in the bunker, the pit bunker, that is. So the two Jack Daniels Nissans are unfortunately not on the road at the moment as we roll around behind the safety car on lap 22, just past halfway in this 4th race of the championship. First race of 3 for the weekend at Simmons Plains. There's the Nissan Altimas with James Moffat, the best of them. Michael Caruso next in the queue, the 2 remaining cars from that team. And there's Van Gisbergen, so at least this gets him onto the back of the queue after being forced to make a pit stop and have the rest of that rear bumper removed. At least he's now in touch with the group and can maybe make up some spots before the checkered flag falls in some 20-odd laps time. So yellow flag's out. Rick Kelly's off the road down at turn 6. He's parked in the gravel and is being extracted as we speak. But we'll stay under safety car until that Nissan has been recovered. All the manufacturers are represented in the top 7. This is bound to be a great second half of this 4th race.
Now this has changed the game completely. This safety car, Craig Lowndes was in cruise control at the front of the field, but now this compresses everything. It brings them all back in to the argument. Whincup will be nestled in behind Lowndes. Courtney in third. Russell Ingall now in fourth. The rolling restart to come. This is juicy. This is juicy, right on half-time.
It's a little incentive that Russell Ingall needed to be able to just claw that margin back. Gets him right in touch again with James Courtney. Everybody's tyres cool out, reinvigorates. They all have a chance to talk to their engineers about car behaviour, make some little brake bias or anti-roll bar adjustments. And there's the reason we've got the Petters Chrysler safety car out. Rick Kelly firing off at turn 6 into the gravel trap, which arrested the car in just the right spot without making the fence, thankfully, and he's out there now. But on the radio, subsequent to that, he was talking to them about the front brakes. Mark Scaife said before the break that would possibly explain why a car goes off at such high speed, that there had to be some sort of a technical issue, and certainly Rick suspects so, something to do with the front brakes. That was the early part of the conversation that they'll now verify when they look at that car.
So remember, there's been a change to the restarts. The speed has been increased for the lead car. It has to stay in between 60 kilometres per hour and 80. All cars must remain directly in line and within 1 car length by the acceleration zone. So the 2 acceleration zone boards, as Damien White, man in charge of the rules. So there we go. There's 2 boards. And the positioning of these boards, I think, is critical. You can see it there behind the United Petroleum sign at the exit of turn 7. That's the first one. And then the second one is right up towards the control line.
Just back to 80 when you go through.
So once the lead car gets into that zone, he's in control. He can go whenever he wants.
And if you're smart, in this particular case, you go early.
You go straight away because the rest of the field is still coming around the final bend.
So the driving standards observer Jason Bargwanna at the drivers' briefing last night asked the drivers, which in this case will be Craig Lowndes, has the responsibility when the safety car peels away to choose a speed and level off at that speed between the 60 and the 80. What he doesn't want to see is accelerating or decelerating in that zone. So he wants to settle at a speed and then go at the driver's choosing.
This has really helped Russell Ingall, guys. It was a big gap back to Courtney. This has put him back in contention to get on the podium.
70 will cars to stop weaving in a single line, less than 1 kilometre from the car in front, 1 car length from the car in front.
And there's to be no passing before they get to the control line. They can overlap, they can't pass. So they're coming up to the zone.
Got to get the car straight before you gas it up.
So Lowndes is in control. It's all up to him. And then it's up to them to chase. So he goes right on the corner. It makes it hard for the others.
There was a bit of weirdness back in the pack.
And it's continuing.
And I've got a feeling that Garth Tander may have gone early there. That'll be curious to have a look at. The transponders will tell the story, but I've got a feeling that something might have happened with Coulthard. The reason why Tander shot round him is a bit strange.
And I'm pretty sure Chaz Mostert just ran into the back of somebody, one of the Wilson cars, probably Scotty Pye. Look at the damage to the front of car 6, and now he's losing bits and pieces out the front. And I reckon you're right, Crompo. Garth Tander did get caught up, and I think what he tried to do was make sure that he didn't overtake, he didn't overlap. And maybe in doing that and trying to redress the situation, there's some contact there. Back to racing. Slade on the outside of Bright.
The Wilson Security Dick Johnson Racing Cars, car 18, pit lane drive-through penalty. Jack Perkins driving infringement. So Perkins is going to tour the pit lane. The 2 Wilson Security Dick Johnson Racing Cars got together up at the hairpin on the restart there too.
Well, and they made contact at turn 2. So Scott Pye was down the inside and smashed into the side of David Wall.
Now the Jack Perkins black flag, by the way, is for contact on Michael Caruso, car number 36. I didn't explain that.
So out of all that, Lowndes did the perfect job. You watch him. As soon as he gets there, he goes. Now keep your eyes on Tander.
Oh, he definitely
he's
went
over.
past
He's
car
passed.
9. Yeah, he's passed before the control line. So that's it's going to be an issue. Here, look at this, up the front. It's contact.
And that sends Lowndes off. Incredible. The teammates made contact. The leader of the race goes off. Slides way back.
That's what they don't want inside a single team garage. Awkward situation there. Whincup having a lunge. It made us stop and think for a moment while we were considering that start. Here comes Courtney. He's well in the game here. One little hiccup and it changes everything.
So 1, 2 and 3 is now Whincup, Courtney and Winterbottom, who's got past Ingle.
That was a really big dive from Whincup. And what happens is once you've made that commitment, you've made the decision, you ride it. So as Craig goes to turn in, it's unavoidable at that point not to make contact. Here it is, down the inside, it's on the dirty part of the road. He's battling to stop. Craig turns it in. He was probably up far enough to command track position. And they make contact pretty heavily. Lowndes, series leader, out in the paddock. On board now with Whincup. He's come from about a car length back. Now watch, he battles to stop. He gets it stopped, he's up there, he fed it second gear. He runs into the front door, so he's up far enough, and the contact was significant enough to unload Craig Lowndes. So stressful conditions in here for the guys. Mark Dutton in the centre.
Overseeing the operations now, Mark Dutton. David Couchy in Jamie Whincup's corner, and Jeremy Moore remains Craig Lowndes as chief engineer.
And he may carry some scars from that, Jamie Whincup, because when you make that level of contact in this spot here, big chance to damage the steering on that side of the car front right corner in this instance, and be curious to see whether or not it just settles down in its pace, but that's going to put big stress in the garage.
Yeah, down here with Mark Dutton, mate. Usually you're one of these two guys. You're in an awkward position at the moment, mate. Looked to me like Jamie was pretty well in there.
Yeah, I think he was up past the B. Maybe Craig didn't see him. You see Craig from the in-car. Looks like possibly he turned in. We'll have to have a look after. Yeah, the first and foremost, we tell the boys don't touch each other. So they'll both be copping a bit of a flogging after the race, no matter the outcome.
You think they'll be dirty with each other, though, mate, or do you think they're good enough mates and been together long enough to see through it?
Oh, in the long run, they'll see through it. But right now, I think there's a bit of red mist, and they wouldn't be happy either with themselves or with each other, depending on who made the mistake.
All right, thanks for the heads up, Mel.
Cheers, Larko.
It's pretty clear. Mark Dutton's going to wield a big stick at the end of this race, regardless of the result, because he just doesn't want that happening at Red Bull Racing Australia.
And it places Lowndes in 11th from battling for the lead of the race. That's a big deal. So's that heart rate number for James Courtney. He's chasing down Whincup. Stay with us.
This is the fight for position 2. They've dropped off Russell Ingall, who is 4th. McLaughlin next from Tander and Davison. Coulthard, Reynolds, Wall, that's the 10. And Lowndes is back to 11th. Very rare that the Triple Eight drivers make contact. We've seen them race one another hard for many, many years, but boy, that'll be an interesting debrief at the end. Let's focus here. Fight for second. The two factory teams, the Holden Racing team and the Pepsi Max FPR squad. Whincup comfortably in front and with a buffer back to these two. Courtney and Winterbottom, 2-3. Ingall's hanging on there in 4th spot. Remember, he's driving for Lucas Dumbrell, single car team. In fact, that's the same car that Scott Pye was driving here last year when he had that massive accident and went head on into the wall. Great shot, this long run down to the hairpin, slowest corner you'll find anywhere, and thousands of different lines and approaches that these different drivers will take. Remember that James Courtney won the Kutzal 500, but is 5th in the championship coming into this weekend. But the margin ahead to Jamie Whincup is going out all the time as the reigning champ starts to just creep away. Winterbottom has been a race winner here before, but just the one race win for the FPR driver on the Sunday back in 2010. James Courtney, this has never been a place that's been too kind on him. Reynolds and David Wall, this is for 9th spot. These two got together last year on the exit of the hairpin. Saw Reynolds taken out of the race. Lowndes trying to come on through and pick up some ground. Reynolds not fighting, parked out wide with Scott Pye down the inside. Chas Mostert now lines up for a run as well. So Lowndes just trying to recover what ground that he can after that contact with his teammate Jamie Whincup. But continues to lead the way. Race 4 at Simmons Plains in Tasmania.
Craig Lowndes is desperately trying to salvage this situation, which will now be under investigation post-race. The contact between cars 1 and 888, so Whincup and Lowndes will be investigated. Lowndes now back up to 9th. So he's made up a couple of spots. And down here at the hairpin, contact on David Wall. James Courtney looking back to Mark Winterbottom, who's been super quick all day. He started in 6th. He's up to 3rd. In the last 5 years at this circuit, Mark Winterbottom has finished no worse than 6th in every race, but only 1 win next to his name in his history here.
And he's got a 100% finishing record here too, Matt. He's had an extraordinary run over a long period of time. It'll be an interesting one to resolve, the car 1 versus car 888 brawl at turn 6. It's going to be a little bit difficult to unravel that one, but it's the right thing to do to be investigated. There was a time where nothing happened when it was within the team, but it's still an all. It does need to be looked at, and it will be looked at.
I totally agree. And when you're the series leader, big implications, and especially, we'll talk about it soon, it might end up with a penalty for the next race. So if that happened to Lowndes, you go into the day as the leader, and 2 races on, you're away.
So Courtney, remember, he finished off the Clipsal 500 with a fantastic victory and celebrated with some crowd surfing to go with it. And he's in a good frame of mind. He's 2.4 seconds behind Whincup.
Matt, if you can just look down there, this is why Davey Reynolds just come in. This is called a delaminated front tyre. Now, why that is, he's obviously flat spotted it at some point, but you get a really good look at the steel belts of the tyre there, how the carcass works, and he would have felt that knowing he's a drama, and he'll be out of the game. Now, while I'm here, just quickly come out here, you'll see right there is the Ford Performance Racing pit next to the Red Bull pit. When that little incident happened over there, I heard an almighty cheer come out of the Ford Performance Racing pit, and I went and said in there, what's everyone happy about? Is it someone's birthday? Let me tell you, they're pretty happy about proceedings.
We saw, thanks Larko, we saw David Reynolds just getting out of Chaz Mostert's way a little earlier, and you could see he was mucking around with the steering, so he was aware of the fact that something wasn't right with the front of that car.
The S60, the Volvo of Scotty McLaughlin. If you missed V8 Extra earlier in the day, make sure you jump online and find the video of Scott and Robert Dahlgren and their trip up to Sweden in between our last event and this one. Boy, did they have some fun on the ice. They also toured the Polestar and Volvo factories in Gothenburg. Robert showed him around his hometown in the northeast of Sweden. And Scotty even took a jandal into the wind tunnel. Yes, you do.
So this is a really good battle, Matt, because Scott McLaughlin's made quite good progress right up behind Eagles, so it's battling for 4th position. You can see Russell there. He's been struggling with oversteer through the final corner the whole race. We were on board with Mark Winterbottom earlier and showed that. Scott struggling with his power steering problem. We'll see the steering technique down at the hairpin, which we know that he's really battling there. So this is your leader. And what a good job Jamie Whincup has done. Courtney Winterbottom, there's the battle there with Ingle, McLaughlin, Tander, Davison. There was a lot of drama there at the restart, which we'll get our brain around also.
And those Pulsar split times just clicked over to show us that Russell Ingle is 2.5 seconds adrift of 3rd spot. Mark Winterbottom, that's probably the biggest one as we roll through the splits, because the restart just didn't really help Russell in terms of positions.
Doesn't quite have the car speed at the moment, does he, Russell? It's just not quite there. It's too loose at the back for him at the moment. But Gisbergen's done a good job in recovery, aided by the safety car. Keep in mind he's had to come in pit lane, drag off a bit of bodywork and go back out there. So 12th means a decent haul of points, and he might get more at the moment. That's David Wall that he's attacking.
I had a good conversation with him earlier, and he obviously had really good car speed at Adelaide here, a good car at the Australian Grand Prix meeting. And then for him at this place, he's really struggled. He hasn't been able to get the car stopped. At this spot is where he's been complaining about. He's complaining about that now because he actually dived in there too late at that point. He might be in a bit of strife for that because he pushed Wall wide and he really couldn't hold it on line. So, although he's made good progress, there might be a little bit of chat to Shane after the event with that pass on David Wall at turn 4.
Pretty much see that one coming. It was brewing. Here's Rob Dahlgren.
Rick Kelly looking on.
So both the Kelly brothers on the sidelines and Jason Bright.
Big lock up in behind Tim Slade there. It's been on the radio quite a bit, Jason Bright. They've not found a happy spot with the setup of that car. 14th and 15th. These two fellas arguing over at the moment. And that's Nick Percat right behind. Lee Holdsworth tucked in under him and giving him a little...
It's not under him.
Yes, being the operative.
Big rebuild, of course, for the car that we're looking back at, Team BOC. Last time we saw it in championship action, it was flying through the air at Adelaide in a scary crash, but a tremendous rebuild job captured by Brad Jones Racing. Courtney and Winterbottom continue to slug it out. That's Whincup further up the road. 3 laps for him to go.
James has been sweating. Look at this contact, and actually Frosty did the right thing then. He knew that he gave him a knock. He lifted the throttle and waited, actually penalised himself. James has been sweating with this pressure in recent laps. Tim Edwards in the garage, team principal, Pepsi Max Ford Performance Racing. But it's been a good job by Winterbottom. He's been chipping away hard in this game. He cleared Russell Ingall in all that kerfuffle early on. And he's been applying a lot of pressure. It's going to cost him a couple of laps, though, to be able to get back now in touch with James after that.
Exactly, Neil. He's driven really well. Probably been the driver of the race. Lowndes around the outside. Oh, gee, that's wild. That's fast. It's so easy to make the grass and then make the fence either on the right or the left, depending on the trajectory when you get to the grass there. So healthy battle going on there with Fabian Coulthard. That's for 8th and 9th position. Winterbottom's done a very good job. And I thought just then, with a little back off, that was quite a responsible thing, Crompo. He could have run him on. He could have actually spun him around if he stayed on the throttle. He got right out of the throttle and sorted that out for themselves. And remember, this time last year, Fabian Coulthard pulled a pass on Winterbottom, almost exactly the same, and was actually overtaken for the lead. So he'll have that in his memory. Fabian blocking now down at the end of the main straight. This is where Lowndes went off with his teammate. A lap to go.
Quite a run last year for Fabian. I bet he just couldn't wait to get back here. I know he's not feeling well with the flu, but he qualified on the front row last year in all 3 races and won 2 of them. And it really kick-started that part of the season for him. He went on to claim his first championship pole at Pukekohe and then win another race a little bit later in Austin, Texas. Momentum's a big thing in any sport, especially motorsport. So Whincup, that's the gap. 3 seconds back to James Courtney. The incident will be investigated between him and his teammate Craig Lowndes. But after starting on the front row in pole position, Jamie Whincup takes the checkered flag.
Situation, guys. Obviously the move is well and truly on, but unfortunately didn't work out the way we all wanted it to. But,
Courtney and Winterbottom on the podium. Russell Ingall in 4th. And that shows you the gravity of the situation. There's David Couchy.
Great job, good drive. We'll talk to you when you get back.
It's not often a bloke can win a race and apologise straight up. It's the first thing he said back to the team. So he'll take it. Car speed's there. No doubt about that. So Ingall in 4th. Scott McLaughlin in 5th. Garth Tander up to 6th. Will Davison for Erebus in 7th. Craig Lowndes, he ends up in 8th. So he saved himself, or made up another 3 spots after the incident. And let's take a look at this. Last corner, last lap. We'd seen it coming, and it eventually did. And how does he hold on to that, Lowndes?
What a great save. What a great bit of car control. Not too many guys in this field would get away with that one.
Car out of control. Fabian Coulthard 9th and Scott Pye finishes 10th. Shane van Gisbergen, after having to come through and clear loose bodywork, went to the back of the field, finished in 11th. So that's good signs for him in the next race. He will start from the rear of the grid.
To Mark's point, though, he may get looked at for the dive bomb on David Wall up at turn 4.
So that makes 9 victories at this circuit for Jamie Whincup. Certainly helps his championship cause.
Jamie won't be looking forward to having to manage the next few minutes of his life.
No, this is ugly stuff. And we've all had to live this one. This is, you know, inter-team politics and drama with guys that are at the front of the field. Craig leading the championship, gets out, shakes hands with David Couchy. David's the new engineer responsible for Jamie this year. Mark Dutton will be the guy that'll have to manage this. Chris Brady there on the left, who's the team physio.
And so that's a fascinating play, isn't it? Because Mark Dutton was the man in Jamie's corner in the most successful run in V8 Supercars, and now he's going to have to be, well, the principal here. He's going to have to be the man who comes down hard on these guys.
And it'll be interesting to see, because I don't think Roland will get involved in this. He'll make sure that the new team structure handles this. Jeremy Moore there is Craig Lowndes' engineer. Very, very good operator. Yeah, so I think we're going to go outside. I think we're going outside rather than staying in the garage.
We're so used to the Craig Lowndes smile, but we know when the smile is hurting.
Well, what we've also seen too, Matt, is the level of intensity.
Jamie, firstly, congratulations, mate. Great win, but it's quite evident what's going on in the room here. You're disturbed. Look like you're in there, but it's difficult when it's inter-team, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an unfortunate situation. I'm sorry about the situation. Lounsey, he deserved to finish higher than that, but I'm certainly not sorry about the mover. And I think it was a textbook move down the inside. I was well and truly in there. It was a standard move. That's unfortunate. That's the way it goes. I feel like I haven't done anything wrong, but it's disappointing that we didn't have a 1-2, which is what the team deserved.
Mate, can I say, I don't think you should either. Just looking at the replay, and you'll get to see them yourself, there's no doubt you're in there, you're up. If it was anyone else, we wouldn't have taken any notice of it.
It's unfortunate. I'm going to have an awkward conversation with Lounsey. We've been mates for 10 years, and hopefully I can continue, but I'll try to smooth it over as much as I can. But as I say, I was just out there racing hard, and you get that sometimes.
You're a good sportsman, mate. That's good stuff. Well done.
So, thanks, Lago.
James Courtney, Frank the Tank was out in form at the Clipsal 500. A nice way to start off the weekend here at Symmons Plains, second in the podium.
Yeah, exactly. I thought for a minute when Lounsey and Jamie come together down the bottom there that he might be out again, but he managed to stay in front. Those cars were both pretty strong. But no, we did pretty well to hold off Mark. The car, in the end, looked after his tyres really quite well, so it was a pretty exciting race. But yeah, we're starting 17th in the next one, so I've got a lot of work to do then, but no, it was good.
I know you're a very fit guy. You got out of the car, you sort of looked a bit hot. It's a small track, but it's a busy track.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So it's over a short period of time. And plus when you're getting hounded from behind as well. But no, look, it's fun. It's good. The car's good. It's just now going to start back in the pack in the heat. So should be an exciting one. But hi to Kaz and the kiddies at home. Wish you guys were here.
Well, there you go. You've trophy here, a trophy girl ready for you. Congratulations, James Courtney. Be careful there.
It's broken. We'll take the top bit.
Hey, Mark Whitton, I'm just downloading with your engineer. Sorry to interrupt, mate. Come and grab yourself a trophy. Well done, P3. I get a sense, mate, this is the start this weekend of your championship assault.
Yeah, it's important to get a result. We didn't start Adelaide the way we wanted, and we wanted to come here and show that we're a championship contender. And the car was good in the race. We're P3 in the next one, which is good. So, we'll try and see how we go and try and get amongst these two. But it's good seeing the other two guys fight. Maybe they can fight and I'll just blaze on through. I
thought it was someone's birthday because there was a massive cheer come out of here when the two boys collected each other. Hey, well done on your behalf, though. When you got into the door of Garth Tander down there, sensible move. You got out of it yourself. Give yourself a little bit of a penalty, but smart thinking, mate. Well done.
Yeah, I'm trying to have a go, and but I don't want to crash someone off. And, James and I, we're having a good battle there, and it's hard under brakes. On TV it looks easy, and that's the problem when you watch, but the brakes are getting long and the car's moving around and you try and dive up the inside, but yeah, got out of it, had a crack, got out of it, and we finished third.
Plus, was James, he's not a bad guy, eh?
Oh, he has his moments, but in the next one I don't have to pass him, hopefully, so I'll try and worry about the other two in this one.
All right, well done, pal.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
An incredible run continues here of Mark Winterbottom. He just has a habit of finishing up the front at Tasmania. So Ingle in 4th, Scotty McLaughlin there in 5th. That's how they rounded out the top 10 with Scott Pye inside the 10 for the Fords. So 11 through to 20. Chaz Mostert had his dramas throughout that race. Nick Percat fought back from the rear of the grid to 17th. And Robert Dahlgren in 20th for Gary Rogers Motorsport. And Volvo Polestar, Michael Caruso, Jack Perkins and Davey Reynolds, and Rick Kelly and Todd Kelly both DNF.